Hello, everybody. Thank you to come with us in order to speak about Allocovid. Allocovid is an healthcare AI based on voice assistance for public service. Today, we will speak with two people from Allocovid. Dr. Yacine Boitou and Romain Sambarino. So, Allocovid, what's the story around this project? Yacine?
Well, hi everyone, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you about Allocovid. So the story behind is a story that you've all heard about. It's about the COVID pandemic that we are all aware of. And during this pandemic, I was as a medical doctor, but also as a chief medical officer in a biotech from France. I was really worried about the burden that COVID-19 was having on our medical system and our healthcare system. Basically, the organization during the first wave of the COVID was that any patient that will have symptoms of COVID will have to call the emergency number, which is the 15 in France. And this had some consequences because, as you can imagine, the 15 number, the emergency number, had a huge increase in the calls that they would see. And therefore, the overload of calls will have potential consequences on the calls from patients that will have an emergency for something else than COVID. It was, of course, the way to do because we didn't know much about the virus at that time. And as I was observing this and discussing with my colleagues about the overload for the medical system, I was also talking with a friend of mine who's working for SNCF and their artificial intelligence department, for which they work on something called a chatbot and a vocal bot. And during these discussions, as I knew that he was wanting to help the country with the situation, we came to the conclusion that it would be a nice way to help if we could have some chatbot or vocal bot that will be able to help the population in orienting with some symptoms of COVID. And that's how it started. He introduced me to Romain Sambarino, the CEO of Allomedia and the provider of this vocal bot solution. And the three of us from that point worked together on the possibility of developing a vocal bot that will be able to answer the unmet need for the population in the terms of unloading for the current situation in terms of overload of calls to the emergency number.
Thank you, Yacine. Can you explain us what were the challenges around Allocovid?
Well, thank you for this question. There were several challenges. Thank God we had a tremendous team to be able to overcome them. The first challenge was a logistic challenge. It was to create a product without seeing each other due to the lockdown, because we were all on lockdown and we worked remotely with many meetings during which we were designing the product, thinking about it, and that was a first challenge. Another challenge was HR challenge, because as you can imagine also it was all voluntary work, so we were working on top of what we were doing on a daily basis. But this was done with passion from all the team members, and that's how it worked. And that's how we developed a product in a very short period of time. The other challenge, by the way, was time, because as you can imagine, and as you know, the first wave was full of uncertainty. We worked a lot, 7 days a week to develop this product. And we didn't really know what will be the direction. We didn't know much about the virus at that time, so we just worked to deliver as fast and as good as possible the best solution possible. And that was made possible by the partnership that we had with all the right persons. And regarding the product, so Allocovid is a virtual phone assistant dedicated to COVID-19 screening in France, launched on April 27th, 2020. We made that product 100% free thanks to the partnerships and the sponsoring that we received from different partners. We made it accessible to all because we wanted to make sure that any person could access it, and therefore we came with a number which is not a free number but a national number that was able to be reached from any phone. And we made sure that it could be used as many times as you needed.
Thank you, yes. Really interesting and really clear explanations. Romain, can you tell us why did you choose OVH Cloud?
Thank you for the meeting and nice to meet you. I'm Romain Sambarino, the founder and the CEO of Allomedia and the co-founder of Allocovid for sure. And now, as you know, Allocovid is telephone virtual assistant technology, and it requires a lot of CPU's power and a lot of bandwidth, combining 4 technologies: telephony system, speech recognition, text-to-speech, and dialogue system for speech understanding, or chatbot in the same method. Allomedia has been working with OVH Cloud for over 10 years, and we work in great confidence and have built a scalable infrastructure in Roubaix and Strasbourg. First, at the beginning of the project, Allocovid project, thanks to the support of OVH Cloud and the great work of my teams and the SNCF technical team, we were able to set up 1,000 technical threads in less than a week just before launching. Allocovid supports 1,000 virtual agents simultaneously. Second, with the advice of our data protection officer, Privacy Impact is our partner on the team, we were immediately able to obtain a dedicated HDS server in less than 1 hour. So that INSERM could host the health data, it was sent every day to Santé Publique France. OVH Cloud was able to support the project with secure data reactivity to protect and to support the scalability.
Thank you, Romain. And we spoke about some partners of your project, but there are a lot of partners. Can you tell us what were their contribution on your project?
Sure. I just talked before about Privacy Impact for data protection and data security, but this project is made possible by the cooperation of French experts in their respective industries from the public and private sectors. In order to respond to the urgency of the health crisis, doctors like Yassine, an expert in epidemiology, have joined forces and recognized French players in artificial intelligence, AI, applied to voice and conversational robots. And more of 20 strategic other partners. For instance, we had the support of Publicis communication teams with a free advertising of more than 1 million euros to make our Allocovid number visible on media, and grades and display support from Allianz, for instance, and other partners.
Fine, thank you. You launched your phone number by the end of April 2020. today, what are your success with this service? What are the numbers you can share with us?
Our results are very good and accurate. We were able to learn medical models from scratch in a few days and also know how to automatically detect cough on the phone. The older people were able to go through the form with an uptake rate of over 92%. Yassine can testify to the overall results from a medical point of view.
Yeah, so on my point of view, it was quite impressive to see how the Allomedia technology could detect the cough. Because, of course, if you can detect the cough beforehand, for the patient that will answer to the question, you can imagine that you can skip this question once it's detected and then reduce the duration of the questions that are asked. So for me, it's quite an impressive improvement. And actually, the usage of the vocal recognition technology within COVID-19 has been recently discussed in a publication in Nature. So it's very promising, and you can see already the potential for other medical application. If we go back to what we have seen in Allocovid, it was really interesting. So we had more than 10,000 polls that have been evaluated. 3/4 of the colors had clinical signs that were suggestive of COVID-19, and 1/3 of the colors had some kind of signs of gravity. The algorithm and the questionnaire was developed actually by the Health Ministry in France, and we took this questionnaire and put it in the chat call and then the vocal bot. It's quite impressive. We were able to map the calls since at the end of the call, and the caller was able to give us his postcode. So we really had the possibility to create on a real-time time slot. We were able to really map the calls based on their gravity symptoms. Is there more calls with gravity signs in one part of France? And as you can imagine, if the population use Allocovid a lot, it will be the first step in a good strategy to show where the epidemic is starting. What we could see is that Allocovid is really upstream in the chain of events that will lead to an eventual hospitalization. Because the first step is when you are a person with some symptoms, you ask yourself, yeah, well, are my symptoms associated with COVID-19? Should I be worried? And to answer those questions, you can quickly call Allocovid and have a first idea of, is that highly likely or highly unlikely? And once you know that, you can do the next step. That would be either call your GP, or you can go straight to the emergency room because you have some gravity signs. And that's also, as I told you, an important point. It's that 1/3 of the colors show sign of gravity. So it really means that we captured information from people with gravity signs. So it's quite impressive to see how Allocovid position itself upstream in the strategy to evaluate where is, let's say, a cluster or anything.
Thank you, Yassine, and thank you, Romain. I'm really happy to see what you have been able to do with the services we provide. And it's really interesting for us because we never see precisely what we do for you, but with this kind of conference, we are able to know and to better see what's the importance of the services we provide. So I'm really happy to have this meeting with you, and we will continue with the live chat with the people which are with us for this conference. So feel free to ask all the questions, and we will answer Yassine, Romain, or me.